You know, they were talking about climate change yesterday, and now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning.
Now that we have global warming, some people are saying that we really should think about altering the weather itself. There is a doomsday plan proposed by a Nobel laureate, and that is that if the greenhouse effect spirals out of control, we should put rockets to shoot pollutants into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight back into outer space. That would be a doomsday mechanism to control the weather.
The chemtrail debate rages on. Is there a secret program where hundreds of unmarked planes are spraying a chemical cocktail in the air? Debunkers say that these are simply traditional jet contrails being mixed with certain atmospheric conditions to cause what only seem to be unusual patterns in the sky. I was unable to find any protocols for air traffic control that would result in planes flying in the familiar tic-tac-toe patterns that chemtrail believers often refer to. Geoengineering is the phrase that has emerged to describe this activity. The consensus among those who are supporting this is that a fleet of specialized planes is routinely flying all over the world, spreading a mixture that contains aluminum and barium into the upper atmosphere. But recently, I've noticed no chemtrails in the sky over California, no strange cloud formations, no jet trails. In fact, it's been eerily clear day after day. It was brought to my attention that the same thing is happening in Northern California. The skies have been strangely clear and free of the crisscrossing patterns and afternoon haze. It was then that I uncovered a very strange correlation. The seeming cessation of spraying corresponded almost to the day with President Donald Trump's announcement that he was pulling the United States out of the Paris Climate Agreement.
Thus, as of today, the United States will cease all implementation of the non-binding Paris Accord and the draconian financial and economic burdens the agreement imposes on our country.
Washington, D.C. experienced a mild snowfall last week. Luckily, City Councilman Trayon White was on it. He knows why it happened. Watch this.
It just started snowing out of nowhere this morning, man. Y'all better pay attention to this climate control, man. This climate manipulation. And D.C. keep talking about we're a resilient city. And that's a model based off the Rothschilds controlling the climate to create natural disasters they can pay for it and own the cities, man. Be careful.
On Wednesday, the 8th of November 2017, members of the US House Science Committee held a sincere hearing on geoengineering. Until that day, the word had barely been breathed in Washington. The notion that the government could influence the weather had always been laughed off as a crazy conspiratorial ravings. Yet now the government is officially supporting scientists who say they can engineer the weather. Why is this happening now? And how is it possible?
Savannah, good morning. It is extremely difficult to get around San Juan this morning, and this is part of the reason. Power lines are down, streets are impassable, many roads are flooded. Now, this was a powerful storm. The siding of this building crushing this car. The governor has imposed an overnight curfew as this island only begins to assess the damage. Lester, good evening. You can see the power of this storm. Harvey's eye cut right through here. Local authorities say that one person was killed in a house fire that first responders just couldn't get to in time. At least a dozen people were injured. Tonight, along the Texas Gulf Coast, utter devastation. In the town of Rockport, entire blocks are decimated.
We have nothing left.
And Amanda Evans is shaken. She was caught in the eye of the storm.
By 1 o'clock, it was terrible.
Overnight, Hurricane Maria lashing the Dominican Republic. The powerful storm dumping torrential rain on the Caribbean island. After blasting neighboring Puerto Rico, where the damage is catastrophic. The monster storm hitting the U.S. territory with a force not seen here in nearly a century. Maria's direct hit leaving widespread damage. Virtually the entire island has no power, and some areas may not have it restored for months. Surge.
We have been praying for quite a while now for the eye to pass over so we can get some kind of a break.
All right, this is bad.
The Category 4 hurricane is the strongest to hit the U.S. in 13 years, making landfall twice. Now search and rescue efforts are underway. The Coast Guard called in to rescue at least 3 tugboats stranded offshore.
4 or 5 kids run back in their trailer, and then the tornado hit it and they were gone.
I've never been through this, and I don't wish it on anybody.
Baby like this shouldn't be in the rain and the cold.
But everybody's lost so much, and it still keeps continuing to rain.
I have never experienced anything like this. I didn't even imagine that it was going to be this catastrophic like this.
I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
In 2015, the Green Climate Fund's executive director reportedly stated that estimated funding needed would increase to $450 billion per year after 2020, and nobody even knows where the money is going to. Nobody's been able to say, where is it going to?
This is the first time we even seen how much water it has been, so it's crazy. That's all I can say.
What was it like to be rescued like this?
A blessing. That's it. A blessing. It was just a blessing to be rescued. Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Can't believe it. We never experienced anything like that.